Yo, what's good? This is Casey for L King Self for Life Wrestling Takes, and you're now watching Casey for L Wrestling Takes Show. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Caseyville, King Self for Life Wrestling Takes. Tonight's showing, ladies and gentlemen, was a tribute showing to Mr. Jay Briscoe. And, you know, Warner Brothers, or as I like to call them, Wicked Brothers. Wicked Brothers should have allowed them to be on TV a long time ago. It's a shame, like I said, that the powers that be seem to get giddy. If you listen to what I said, they get extra giddy if you say anything that goes against the quote-unquote LGBTQ. I don't know what it is, but they just seem to hide, make sure that you don't be able to do anything. It's a joke, because they control the music industry, they control the entertainment realm, and as you can see, they control the wrestling realm too. It's sad, but they do. Let's go ahead and break down this show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it a buck. Overall, AEW Dynamite, I want to say it was one of those episodes where I say these be like your cool down episodes, because as of late, Tony Khan has been on fire. Like, Dynamite has been must see television. This week, outside of the main event and maybe 2 or 3 things that took place on the show, this was a very quote-unquote lackluster episode. Now, the main event was phenomenal because Jay Briscoe would have loved everything that took place in that main event. He would have loved it. But we are in the realm, ladies and gentlemen, where when you put on wrestling TV, the name of the game is to gravitate everybody. Listen, you can try your best to get somebody to care about said wrestling match. I understand the main event. The main event was a tribute. It was a tribute to a great wrestler. But everything else that took place on this show, I don't want you to just try to tell a story in the match. I want a story to be the thing that leads us into the said match. And I know a lot of people will say, well, here you go trying to... Listen, man, we are in the business of being schooled by wrestling. A lot of us have been watching wrestling almost 30 some plus years. Some of us 20 some years. Some of us 10 years. But why we are wrestling fans, we allow certain storylines to grip us. If a said storyline is what's supposed to lead us into said wrestling show, that's what we like. And I was expecting TK to quote unquote get us to something, like have us have some type of story instead of giving us the matches like how he like to do, like what TK loves to do. He just loves to put on banger wrestling matches. And I'm not saying that tonight's wrestling was great. I'm trying to think of all the matches that I looked at. It was not one match I seen on the show that was bad, not one. You know, um, but I just want more story when it comes to my wrestling. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's just me. But let's go ahead and break down the show. So we open up the show. We get the tag team match. We get Team JAS taking on Ricky Starks and Action Andrade. They get us linked in. Oh, and by the way, we were live from Lexington, Kentucky, and I'm gonna be 1,000%, y'all. Outside of the main event, because that's where they woke up. Kentucky was a weak city. This had to be, and AEW was on a roll. AEW was on a roll with the crowds, no matter where they went. It's the crowds were on fire. Lexington, Kentucky, I don't know. Y'all gonna have to go back, watch the show, and come back and make more noise because y'all capable of it. The main event is proof that y'all are capable of making noise when you need to. Um, crowds are also what make wrestling, and I think the lacklusterness of the crowd is what kind of had the episode be a kind of a downer episode. Now, like outside of the main event, which was great, it was a great tribute to the young man. But like I said, overall, if I had to go and dissect everything, which I'm about to do, I just got to be 1,000% with you. I thought that this was kind of a lackluster type episode. Now I understand that the energy was off because we were paying tribute to Jay Briscoe, but TK still had to put on a wrestling show, and he still was giving us said storylines that may trickle over into doggone Revolution. But my goal is, or TK's goal should be, storytelling number one. Forget about putting on bankers. Forget about putting on bankers because the wrestling is going to come. Tonight's proof that you can have great wrestling, and it always matters who you're in the ring with. It always matters who you are in the ring with, ladies and gentlemen. So, after I said my opening speech, let's go ahead and break down this match. We start with Action Andrade and Mr. Absolute Rick Starks taking on the Les Sex guys, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. This is a pretty solid match. Crowd was somewhat into it. Now, I already knew that Action Andrade and Ricky Starks wasn't going to win. I already knew that. But all you tuning in is to see what type of foolishness is going to pop off. That's basically what this match is about. What foolishness is going to cost Action Andrade and Ricky Starks? Well, you had DG sitting outside and all this stuff, and Chris Jericho and them quote unquote distracting the refs and all this, already not paying attention to nothing. Now, Ricky did that usual, I call it the old school that Undertaker does, where he walks on the tightrope as one of the wrestlers hold their hand. He did that. Action Andrade was doing some excellent moonsaults and everything. Now, I've seen some cats online that kind of got mixed reviews about Action Andrade. The name of the game is to keep Action hot. That's what you want. You don't want him to cool down, because he's the young and up. He's the young and up and coming superstar right now. That's the name of the game. You want to keep him hot. So, and here's another thing too. When you in a said beef with somebody, like, is there a way that you can spread out the wrestling? Which means, like, I don't want to see you wrestle every other week, because it feels like TK gets carried away with that sometimes. It's like you watching and you see the matchup, you're like, well, didn't these guys just wrestle each other not too long ago? You know, and it's like I kind of want the story to be refreshed. I don't want to be like, oh snap. Then, because obviously we going into the pay per view. Somebody wrestling each other. We know that, but I don't want to see the same match every week and then come down to pay per view. TK said all week. I'm like, I just seen it. I just saw it like 2-3 weeks ago. It's like and I feel like TK sometimes get carried away with that. Sometimes that's just me. I mean, I'm just being 1,000% with you. But like I said, watching these two, actually watching these four go at it. Like I said, pretty solid match. But DG and them got a hand. I think it was a sludge hammer. They got a sludge hammer. They whacked Action Andrade in the head, and 1, 2, 3. Jericho and Sammy Reed. They end up winning, and the crowd is mad. They upset. Hey, you knew it was coming, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all already knew it was coming. So it is what it is. So more than likely, we know we're near done with this beef. This beef is continuing, and that's that. So then, because Warner Brothers finally allowed it, we got a video package memorial of Jay and Mark Briscoe and everybody who was in connection with them. They Ring of Honor TV championship run, Ring of Honor tag team run, Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship run. It was such a great memorial, man. I mean, and then they showed him dancing with his daughters. They showed his kids, his wife. I mean, man, listen, y'all. I tell y'all every day. What brings us together is I hate that it comes down to a death in wrestling that this has us to where we just kind of throw our tribalism. Not everybody, because it was still a lot of idiots that was tweeting and saying some of the most dumbest stuff. But the people who are mature that's in the IWC, we threw our we threw our brands down, and we just come together to just celebrate a man's life who lost his life in a tragedy, and we just come together and embrace him and just love the people that he's connected to, and just just valley and relish in whatever he wanted to accomplish and whatever. And it's just so unfortunate that what that man put out over a decade plus, we didn't get that on TV, you know. But it was a great memorial video, and I've seen everybody online saying he was getting choked up and everything. And listen, man, people don't understand how people want to talk about calling us crazy for liking wrestling, but it's just something about professional wrestling that we just gravitate to. Everybody who has a program, and before I continue on, I just want to give a shout out to my main man Joe Arillo and my man Cleveland. I know Cleveland wasn't able to make the show, and shout out to my man Tony Tampa, my guy who's a hardcore Tampa Bay head. I want to thank them. I appreciate Joe for allowing me to be on the show. For people who want to check it out, just look at the tweets. I retweeted it. That's going to be on the podcast, Cleveland Me Show. We went over our picks for Royal Rumble, and we just talked up, what we think is going to happen and who's pulling up and all of that. So, again, I appreciate Joe. I appreciate Cleveland for allowing me to be on the show. Now, back to what we was talking about, back to our regular scheduled program. So, after we got the promo video, the memorial video, we got Buddy Matthews taking on Darby Allin for the AEW TNT Championship. This was a very good match. A lot of people don't like Buddy Matthews because they say he's a copy-paste version of Seth Rollins. I'm like, man, it is what it is, man. I'm not here to try to say this. Listen, at the end of the day, somebody's going to be a carbon copy of somebody. We're now in the time now where everybody just take parts and bits from other wrestlers and just adds it to their arsenal, Professional wrestling is professional wrestling, man. I don't know why people are always doing that, but Buddy Matthews pretty much, listen, you know how Darby Allin match is going to be. Darby Allin just particularly says, hey, man, I just want you to beat the brakes off me. Tear me up, throw me around, and it looked like that man was injured anyway because he had his doggone hamstring taped up. I always had his groin. It was 1 or 2. He had the tape on and everything, so obviously he was not 100%. And Buddy Matthews manhandled him. Now, you had during the match, the lights went off, and Malachi Black. Now Julia Hart was already out there. You had Malachi Black and Brody King pop out, and Sting was ready for him. So while Sting is dealing with him, you saw Ortiz come out the woodwork. So obviously that storyline's not over. He came out the woodwork and basically tried to take them out. So we get back into the ring. Once again, Buddy Matthews is dominate. Darby started getting a couple of licks in. And then Darby found a way to get the best of Buddy. And he retains his TNT championship. So after the match, Tony Schiavone comes down to the ring. He's talking to the man. And the man has just been dominating. He's just been doing a great job with this TNT run. I see some people say they tired of it. Listen, man, what else do y'all want? Y'all already know what Darby Allin's going to do with this. Like, let's keep it above. I get it. You want more out of it, but y'all gotta understand this is how Darby does things. So I'm sitting up and saying to myself, well, since Samoa Joe is out the picture right now, this would be a great time to bring in Miro. A great time. I'm just saying. Nope. Samoa Joe pops on the screen. And he tells Samoa Joe, you got, I'm not going to use the term because I don't like the word lucky. But you got blessed that you was able to walk out with my championship. And I want my championship back. So therefore, I'm going to kill you in a no-holds bar. Now, I think the no-holds bar is next week. Now, Darby he's been beat to from limb. So how the heck is he going to have enough energy to go against Samoa Joe, who's hungry, who wants to get his championship back? You know, are we running it back a little bit too soon? I think so. I want stuff to, breathed. I don't want to just see the rematch right away. You know what I'm saying? I like my storylines of wrestling to breathe. That's just how I am. I don't want to see cats wrestle each other. You disappear and then you come right back. I'm like, nah, let the storyline breathe. Let the situation breathe. Let us, take time before we get to say a match. But looks like the match is on. No holds barred. Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. So we got just talked about that. Now we got a video package from Mr. Adam Cole, and he was in the ring, and he says he didn't realize that he never knew that he would actually get this opportunity to wrestle again. He said he was going through a lot, but he said he feels good to be able to roll around in the ring again, and he said he's looking forward to locking it up with all kinds of wrestlers. He don't care who they are. He said people have not seen this new Adam Cole, because this new Adam Cole is about to go somewhere. Now, his headband, his do-rag headband, or whatever you want to call it, if he did not remind me of the late Jason David Frank, I automatically thought about Tommy. I said, man, if he don't look like the Green Ranger with that doggone headband on, I said, man, I'm getting Green Ranger vibe with this cat. So, right before the match between Jungle Hook and Jack Perry, a.k.a. Jungle Boy, All Ego Page, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy and Stokely Hathaway come out. Now, when Matt came out, he had the old school Hardy Boys, which Jeff Hardy's theme song started playing. And he was coming out there, and I'm like, wait a minute. Is Jeff behind him? No, he was clowning, acting a fool for real. And then that's when All Ego Page, Isaiah Cassidy, and Stokely Hathaway came out. So Stokely started talking some mess. And then he told Isaiah to say something. And then Isaiah said, I got this chain. And then he said, no, you put this dang chain on me. Now, obviously, they got, for those people want to know what was they referencing, they was referencing Friday. They were referencing Friday with Debo taking people's chains. That's what they were trying to do, So we get to this match. This was not a bad tag team match. I told you, it's about the chemistry, because I look for chemistry when I watch wrestling matches. When I'm watching wrestling matches, I want to be intertwined with what I'm seeing. I don't want to be bored with what I'm seeing. I need to be invested in what the heck I'm looking at. And I was watching this. Hook is improving a lot. Hanging out with Jungle Boy is the best decision right now. It is. So as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, okay, Matt Hardy and Ego Page and them, they got a win, right? because we gonna have to eventually lead to how Hook gets his first loss. That's what I assume, but no, man already eats the page. They lost. Hook wins again. He retains again. He wins. Well, he didn't retain anything, but as of right now, he's still undefeated. He hasn't lost yet. So I don't know where we're going. I'm not actually sure because it's like this: you beat him, so what's the point of continuing the storyline? You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I have absolutely no idea where we're going, but it is what it is. So we get the therapy session. Now, I've seen a lot of people was down on this. I saw a lot of people said they thought this was booty, and they weren't really feeling it. However, they were feeling the young lady who was the therapist, and she just so happened to be a wrestler. I forgot. I think her name is Tiffany or something like that, right? I was really trying to peep what was being said because the name of the game is which side is Billy going to be on? Is he going to stay with the Acclaim or he's going to return with his boys, the Gun Boys, right? Or the A Boys, whatever you want to call themselves. We're going back and forth. Everybody saying they piece, but we ain't getting anywhere. We didn't get anywhere. Like one side said what they had to say, and the other side said what they had to say. And as of right now, it just seems like we're gonna lead to them. Now, I'm not sure if they're gonna be the ones to take those tag team titles off of the Acclaim, but we're gonna tune in. We're gonna watch. And I thought, like I said, for me, I thought it was okay. I thought you understood what they were saying. I thought the fact that both parties had the opportunity to speak their side on why they feel this way. The Gun Boys feel betrayed. The fact that their own father decided to turn their back on them, because he saw fit to adopt the Acclaim. Meanwhile, the Acclaim say, no, y'all turned him away. Y'all practically gave it to us. Y'all don't want him. Now y'all want him back because we got these tag. All it is y'all want these tag team titles. That's what it is. But I don't know if they're going to be the ones to take the titles off of them. I'm not sure. It could. They could take them off. They can. They very well could take them off, but we don't know. We absolutely don't know. So, like I said, I thought the segment was okay. A lot of people thought it was booty. I said it was a lot of people thought it was trash. I said, I'm serious. They really did. I really wasn't even looking forward to it. I thought the segment was gonna be garbage myself. But hey, just say don't judge the book by its cover. I actually was invested. See, if it's something I'm invested in, I'm going to like. You got to get again. TK, the name of the game is to get people to care. If we're not caring about said segment, people are just going to turn the trash off. I'm sorry. They're going to turn it off. People said, what the heck am I watching? You know what I'm saying? So, backstage, once again, Hangman is being interviewed by who? Mox's wife, a.k.a. Renee. And as she's interviewing him, she said, well, technically, you said something last week that kind of got me triggered. And so I thought maybe I could come back to you and ask you again, about how you feel about certain situations. And he said, well, obviously you felt some kind of way, but here's the deal. This is no disrespect to your husband, but he tried to put me out. So, therefore, since he quote-unquote not cleared this week, I'm looking forward to seeing him in where we're going to be, Dayton, Ohio, right? I'm looking forward to seeing him so we can tangle it up once again. But this time, I want to destroy him and put him out of commission forever. That's basically what he said. And you can tell Renee just felt uncomfortable about the situation. So a lot of people speculating, does this mean that my man going heel? Is Heyman going heel? I don't know. I don't think so. But as he was talking about getting his hands back on Moxley, Willa Yuta popped up out the woodwork and cut a promo on him. Talk about, yeah, you think you're going to knock Moxley out, but how about you deal with me on this coming Rampage? Ladies and gentlemen, anytime I see Hangman on Rampage, that just means Rampage is very important. And I like that. I like that when Hangman pulls up to Rampage, it just feels like it's must-see television. So kudos to that. And we'll see. I'm more than likely that match is going to bang because Willa Yuta is great and that man is great. Now we get to the two Bryans going against each other. Brian Cage versus American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Very solid match, very good match. All this was the storyline about how the heck is Bryan going to get from here to February 8th. That is the name of the game. That's basically what this whole storyline was about, this whole matchup. And Bryan was basically doing everything in his power to not get his arm broke. because that's what the name of the game was. MJF put a bounty out on that man. He told my main man, he told Brian, all you got to do is beat the brakes off her, and I'll pay you handsomely. So they went toe to toe. Now this is when the crowd actually decided to wake up because they was half asleep. They were half asleep, ladies and gentlemen. So I say, I don't know about Lexington returning back to Lexington. I mean, they probably will, but if they do, they're gonna have to get they gonna have to rise up when it comes to making noise. I told you they gonna have to. So back and forth, doing all the business and doing all that stuff, but it came down to a LaBelle lock, and he got that man. Put at him. Listen, they was beating the brakes off each other. They were tearing each other up. So Brian does power bomb, get the 1, 2, 3, and he wins. Now post match, Cage puts that man's arm through a chair, runs it through the doggone turnbuckles on the pole outside of the ring. Then that's when MJF decides to come out there. So the two of them started beating the brakes off that man. They started jumping, started beating the brakes off of him, and so messed his arm up even more. So now you had to ask yourself, how the heck is Brian going to be able to compete these final two matches to get his hands on MJF? So we must stay tuned. Now, also, with all the stuff going on with MJF and Brian Cage, quote unquote, trying to beat the brakes off of Brian, Konosuke come out the woodwork to save the day. Listen, this storyline with Konosuke on what they plan on doing with this young man, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where we're going with him yet, but it's cool to see him come out there and rescue him. And speaking of Konosuke, Ric Flair had the nerve to disrespect him. And Konosuke pretty much checked him in a very respectful manner. You can look at his Twitter page and see what I'm talking about. So we come back from commercial, and you see Brian in the doctor's room, and Renee is trying to get a update on his health. Like, is he gonna be able to compete, or is he not gonna be able to compete? So the doctor started rambling, talking about, yeah, he got this, he got that. He said, well, but can I wrestle? That's all that matters to me. Can I wrestle? That's all that matters to me. I don't care. I don't really care. I just want to wrestle this dude. MJF think he is doing all this little silly slick stuff because he don't want to lose that precious AEW championship, but I'm gonna be the one to take it from him. So a pretty decent promo from him. And then MJF responds right back. Oh no, it was it was a little bit later. This is after this. So we get the match. Now this was technically this was supposed to be a triple threat. Britt got pulled unexpectedly. They even mentioned in quote unquote that she had said injury. I don't know what that means. So Ruby and Tony wasn't that bad, but here's my thing. This is where I kind of like I'm still iffy on this whole, because listen, we know where this is going to lead. This is going to be the AEW originals versus the ex-WWE girls. That's what it's going to be, and it's going to finish in the blood and guts match. That's exactly where we're going. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to root against Tony. I don't. I like babyface Tony, but because we were scared to turn Sheeta into a heel, we had to do a 180 and do something completely different. Well, try to do something. Right now, Ruby's over like a mug. She's tremendously over. And as of right now, Ruby really doesn't have an allegiance because more than likely she is the ex-WWE girl. However, she's being presented as a babyface. So, the centerpiece of this matchup, Tony was acting like her nose was broke, right? So, she faked it and tried to get a pin on Ruby. Ruby didn't fall for the okie doke. And then Britt Baker's music hits. The crowd goes nuts. And I'm saying, are we trying to present Britt as a babyface? Listen, I've been wanting to see Britt versus Jamie for a long time because I feel like that's the ultimate story that we could tell. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to get that. More than likely, this seems to be pushed back based on what they're doing right now. With the distraction, Ruby gets the victory. And as of right now, the allegiance with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is we don't know. We have absolutely no idea where her allegiance is right now. But obviously, what the story that TK is trying to quote unquote tell is he's trying to get to the very first Blood and Guts women's match. That's what he's trying to do. So we're gonna watch. I'm gonna watch, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really a fan of booing Tony because when Tony was a heel in WWE, I didn't care nothing about him. And I'm be honest with you, I didn't care nothing about her babyface run in NXT either. However, When she came over here, I thought TK did a great job booking her. Now the fact that we didn't turn the heel and she cut a promo about the XWB, no, the AEW originals are just a bunch of punks. Without them, they would be on nothing, right? So, like I said, after that she won with the Destination Unknown. That's like I said, everybody was speculating. So it's right now we just all speculating about what's to come with the women. Then MJF cut his promo, and he was talking about how Konosuke and all this, and he got his nose in his business, and he shouldn't have bothered. He said Brian run around with a jacked up wing, and he think I can't wrestle him. Oh yeah, he's gonna learn better when I do eventually get my hands on him and all of this, and it won't be pretty. It won't be a pretty sight. That's basically what he said. Particular promo from that man. I kind of think I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we needed an explanation. We could have got an explanation next week. He could have saved this for next week. I don't think you had to do that right away. I think because it's kind of, here's the deal with MJF. You don't want to expose him like that, because the thing is we got to get him from here to 2024. Because ain't nowhere in the world he losing championship. None. He ain't losing title to nobody. This fool going to have a championship for a full year. So we got to figure out how to keep him strong, how to keep him from getting cold, how to keep him relevant. Because that's the task that TK and company have right now when it's concerned to MJF. Yeah. So doing the commercial. Actually, no. Before we went to commercial break, they gave us who Bryan Daniels' next opponent is going to be, and it's formally, he's going by his real. I thought that was just his wrestling name, Timothy Thatcher, who I used to see in NXT wrestle Tommaso Ciampa and Matt Riddle, because that was the last match I seen him wrestle. I didn't even know he got released, but particularly he got released, so he's next in line to go against Bryan Danielson. So obviously we have next week in the 8th before the match becomes official at Revolution. So hey, it's cool. Yep. And so then we got a video package of Emma Sakura and Jamie Hayter, and Jamie Hayter got an opportunity to cut a promo on Emma Sakura. Says that she's going to destroy her come Rampage. Like I said, here's the deal when it's concerning the Japanese women, the Japanese wrestlers. I think they call them Joshes or whatever. If they have an opportunity to be seen, let them be seen. Some of us don't really watch all the Japanese women wrestling programs or whatever, the Joshi programs and whatnot. But Emi Sakura has trained so many. She's trained Ruby. She's trained Shida. She's trained so many different successful Japanese women wrestlers, man. It's kudos to her. So obviously she gets a championship match. I think it's a championship match, and this is gonna be on Rampage. So hey, I don't have a problem with it. So then we get to the main event, and as we are approaching the main event, you see Jay Lethal already. I mean, he was choked up. Listen, that just shows you how well liked and respected Jay Briscoe was. The fact that Jay Lethal was bawling his eyes out before the match even started. And so him and Sanjay came out there. I said, right now, this ain't got nothing to do with no storyline, no nothing. This was just a straight up tribute match. And boy, I gotta say this. Mark Briscoe, God bless that man. God bless him. I'm praying for him. I'm praying for his nieces. I'm praying for his sister-in-law. I'm praying for the entire family. Mark Briscoe is one tough dude. He came out there and he looked like he was holding it in. I said, man, God bless him, Lord. God bless him. And by goodness, man, did these two give us a banker? Now, Jay Lethal has been kind of rough because of who he's been dealing with. But this matchup, man, him and Mark Briscoe gave us everything. This is by far the match of the night for me. This was by far the match of the night. And it had nothing to do with no story or nothing. It was just two great wrestlers honoring a fallen brother. That's basically what this matchup was all about. And my goodness, did they tear the house down. And finally, Kentucky finally woke up. They finally woke up. They woke up after sleeping majority of the show. They finally started to make noise. I said, man, make some noise. Don't just sit on your hands, man. Make some noise when you watching wrestling. It's not that hard, man. Just make some freaking noise. My goodness, Kentucky finally woke up, and these two just went at it, beating the brakes off each other, jumping off stuff, submission mode here, the submission hold here. Spot of the night, Jay Lethal was hanging on the table, and my man Mark Briscoe jumped off of it and throws him in the ring, does the finisher move, and 1, 2, 3, and threw it. And then after the match was over, you saw Mark break down, and Jay was balling, and then the entire locker room came out. They put up Jay Briscoe, RIP 1984 to 2023, and it was just a lovely sight, man. I can't thank Tony Khan enough for finally telling Warner Brothers, hey man, we need this young man tribute on TV. We got to do something. We have to do something. And sure enough, man, Jay and Mark gave us a classic. They gave us a classic tonight, and I can't be mad. So overall, that's my honest review. Like I said, I thought the show was decent, but it could have been better. But I believe a lot of that has to do with the fact that they decided to throw a tribute episode in the middle of a storyline episode that they normally produce. So kudos to TK for finally getting that done. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my honest take about Dynamite. I think this was one of the weaker episodes. However, the main event was stellar. TK couldn't book that better. It was paying homage to our fallen brother, Jay Briscoe. Hey, that's that. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the comment section up. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Hit the like button, and I'll talk to y'all guys later. Holla at your boy.